Istanbul is the only city on Earth that spans 2 continents. And with 16 million people and over 2,000 years of history, it is a total sensory overload. If you're planning a trip here, you might feel a little bit overwhelmed. I know we certainly were. But I'm here to tell you, don't be. You got this. I'll show you how to cross continents for less than 20 Turkish lira, where to find the best food,
everything is very nice,
and how to make a lot of new friends along the way. This is my ultimate guide to Istanbul, and let's get into day 1. So we're starting our adventure in the Galata district, getting lost within its maze of steep, energetic streets in search of the icon of Istanbul. This has been a landmark of the city since 1348, and you can probably see why. Not only is it looming over almost every street corner here, but it's also visible from almost anywhere in the city. Of course, you can climb the tower if you like for incredible views, but we were actually a little more interested in what we found at the base of the tower. So these are things that you're going to see on pretty much every corner here, as well as roasted chestnuts and corn as well. But obviously this one has chocolate in, so this is Ellie's favourite.
Yep. Well, I got one with no chocolate and a chocolate one, so...
And while I'm on the subject of food, don't forget to pick up an ice cream, because you don't just get an ice cream, you get a little show along the way. Crossing the bridge into the more southern part of Istanbul here brings us into Sultanahmet, the historic heart of the old city, where we'll be spending the rest of our day today. Now, as you can see, the weather decided to take a turn for the worst for us here. Yeah, it's really lovely sunny weather in England at the moment.
I know, that's well annoying.
But the mosque does look pretty impressive, fading into the mist like this. At one end of this park is the Grand Mosque Hagia Sophia, and at the other is the Blue Mosque. Now, the Blue Mosque is still an active place of worship today, so it's completely free to enter, although you do need to be mindful of prayer times and dress codes if you visit. The scale of its interior and the intricate tile work, over 20,000 handmade tiles went into the construction of this mosque, is just breathtaking. And as we walk over to Hagia Sophia, let's stop off in Sultanahmet Park, directly in between these 2 mosques, because here you can experience something extremely unique, a Duet Ezan. Some kind of call and response thing going on between the Grand Mosque and the Blue Mosque. And standing right here in the park, in between them, listening to the voices echo across the square is such an atmospheric moment. Later that evening, the dark grey clouds miraculously cleared. So we made the most of it and headed outside to see that golden hour as the sun set. But not for long, however, because to finish our first day, we're actually heading underground. Just a few steps away from the mosques is the Basilica Cistern. It's massive, first thing I will say.
It's very cool.
In terms of temperature.
And there's a temperature in the side.
This is an ancient Roman reservoir built in the 6th century to supply the great palace of Constantinople with water year-round. You can even see examples down in the cisterns of the Romans repurposing old materials, like these 2 Medusa heads, for example, one upside down and one on its side. This right here was one of my favorite spots in the city, and the perfect place to end our fast-paced day 1. So today we're swapping land for water. Istanbul is home to the Bosphorus Strait, after all, one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world and the only entryway into the Black Sea. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can explore Istanbul from the water. And the first is by heading out on a guided tour. Ready for a boat trip?
Yep, as you can see, I have my sunglasses for the boat.
You'll watch the endless skyline float past as you get a front row view to the Dolmabahce Palace, the final white marble residence of the Ottoman sultans. After that, you'll see the Maiden's Tower sitting on its own tiny island in the water. I'm surprised how much greenery there is around the immediate city centre area. It sort of tapers off into these wonderfully green forested areas. But my personal highlight of one of these guided tours is passing beneath the enormous 15th of July Martyrs Bridge. A very big bridge, eh, Ellie? Crashing. This was built in 1973 and was the first ever bridge to cross the Bosphorus, therefore also the first bridge to connect Europe and Asia. And speaking of being placed right between two different worlds, the second and even cheaper way to get out on the water is to use one of Istanbul's public ferries. Which, can I just say, I absolutely love the wooden interior aesthetic. It's really like traveling a few decades back in time in all the best ways. But the best thing about using these public ferries is, well, they're actually ferries, so you can disembark on the other side. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. This is Kadikoy, often considered the soul of Istanbul. It's young, creative, the real local side where you can just get lost in the busy market streets and experience the literal other side of Istanbul. But all this boating has certainly worked up an appetite. And honestly, Istanbul is one of the best places to be when you're hungry. So how is it?
Everything is very nice, very tasty. You get a bit of everything, but a lot of food.
Just eat food. Eat food, any food, every and any food. And for dessert, you cannot visit Turkey without trying some baklava. It was actually refined right here in Istanbul as a dessert served mainly to the Ottoman sultans. A story goes that the sultans would often drop a gold coin into the baklava from around 1 meter above, and if it penetrated through all the layers of pastry, only then was it light and fluffy enough to be enjoyed at the royal table. And it goes alongside some lokum, which you probably know as Turkish delight, perfectly. So day 3 is a day of parks, culture, and cats, because as you've probably noticed, this isn't just the city of the 16 million people who live here, it's also the city of hundreds of thousands of cats.
Like, I have important business to attend.
You'll find them everywhere, from the entrance to the Blue Mosque to some quiet side streets you get lost in. And they probably love Istanbul too, because the people often supply them with food, water, even little heated houses sometimes. It's a beautiful, quiet part of the culture here that makes this massive city also feel incredibly kind. And this city is really, really kind. The people are wonderful. The way of life is, well, as we walk through Gulhane Park, the oldest park in the city, as the sun begins to set, we noticed the symbiosis between human and animal here. People are fishing from the dock to catch their dinner. The cats are then eating leftover fish in front of their homes. It feels like a very healthy relationship. And the view over Istanbul from the tip of this park feels like the perfect place to understand that. So the sun sets on another busy day in Istanbul. We just saw some dolphins, which we weren't actually expecting necessarily, but come to think of it, why wouldn't there be dolphins here? Just suddenly saw a big gathering of seagulls, and that's usually a pretty big giveaway. Now, the sun might have set, but Istanbul isn't sleeping yet. I'm honestly not sure it ever does. So this evening, we headed out to learn about the Whirling Dervishes. This ceremony is called Sema, and it's not only a performance, it's also a meditation for those involved. It was inspired by Rumi, a Persian poet who lived in the 13th century, who used to whirl as a form of meditation, believing that music, poetry, and dance were direct paths to connect humanity to the divine. On day 4, we're actually leaving the chaos of the city behind us a little bit and heading deep into the Sea of Marmara to see something you might not expect to find barely a 2-hour ferry ride from Istanbul.
I'm just admiring
We're right at the front of the boat.
Yeah, no one is here.
The name of this island is Kinaliada, and the first thing you notice here is the sound, or I think I should say lack of it. Kind of forgot what the sound of silence sounds like a little bit. The locals come here often to escape from the hustle and bustle because these are actually carless islands.
You can see the sea from one side and the sea from the other side, which is quite nice.
It's time now to re-embark and head over to the largest of the Prince's Islands now. This is Buyukada, the largest and therefore busiest of these islands, and large crowds gather around the docks in search of this island's most famous tradition. It's gelato. Got your ice cream?
Yeah, it's actually really nice and really cheap.
Honestly, we passed dozens of little ice cream stalls on our way to the other half of this island, which is, believe it or not, home to wild forested hillsides that sit high above the town. It's hard to believe that just across the water, 16 million people are rushing through traffic as we search through this silent woodland to find the heart of this island. This is surreal. This is actually one of the, it's not the biggest, but it's definitely one of the biggest wooden structures in the world. You can actually see how the walls have warped and all the windows are crooked now. If you would like to see more of this island adventure, by the way, I will just take this opportunity to let you know we have a full video surrounding the Prince's Islands that I will link at the end of this one. And if you are enjoying this video and want to get even more travel inspiration, please do consider subscribing if you want to see more. It really means so much. Thanks for all your support just from watching the video, to be honest. Let's get back to Istanbul for our final day. And to begin our 5th and final day, we are heading right back to where it all began, at the walls of the Blue Mosque, looking up at the Obelisk of Theodosius, originally carved in Egypt in 1500 BC. I don't think there's any further proof that this city is sort of full of historical things at every turn than a 3,500-year Egyptian obelisk. It sits in the center of a strangely long and narrow square. And the reason it's this shape is that this entire area was actually built over the remains of the old Roman hippodrome of Constantinople. And this is where I wanted to go today, into the ancient history buried beneath this iconic city. And it might be buried, but it is irrefutably still there. For example, these are the Roman walls of the hippodrome, lining a car park on an unmarked street that you'd probably never think to visit if you didn't know it was here. And this sort of hidden, half-buried history is everywhere. As you wait for a tram, you might see the Column of Constantine, transported here from ancient Rome in 330 AD to commemorate Constantinople as the new capital of the Roman Empire. There we go. Oh no. Oh, I can. If we head to the outskirts of the city too, we'll also see the crumbling stonework of the old walls of Constantinople, the most formidable defenses in the medieval world, which stood here unconquered for over 1,000 years. And walking beside these bits of not quite lost history is an experience completely unparalleled. But to end our journey in Istanbul, let's get back into that chaos inside one of the largest covered markets in the whole world. There are over 4,000 shops in the Grand Bazaar. It's a sensory overload in all the best ways from the moment you step inside until long, long after you leave. It's right beside the Spice Bazaar too, which we walked through on our final couple of hours in the city for one last experience of the true spirit of Istanbul. It's unpredictable, it's exhausting, and it's completely beautiful because of it. So if this video helped you plan your trip, please do consider clicking that subscribe button. As I mentioned earlier, if you do want to see that island escape now, I will link that video right here. because we saw the most impressive wooden structure we had ever seen on one of them. Please leave a comment as well if you've been to Istanbul and you have found anything that I didn't mention in this video. That way we can all share ideas and see even more things that this wonderful city has to offer. So thank you so much for watching. I will maybe see you in the Prince's Islands, and goodbye.